Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mortgages, Money, and More. I'm Angie Pettyjohn with the Pettyjohn Team of Mortgage Alliance. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Eleni Kapetanios, and she is a master mental health coach and a master practitioner of NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnosis, which I have enjoyed her treatments and I absolutely love them. And I'm so thrilled to have you here with us. She's helped hundreds of clients release anxiety, depression, trauma very quickly, and I can attest to that. And so that they can go on with their lives. When Eleni is not working, she's at the gym. Yay for that. And spending time with her family, her husband and her son, Dan and Mateo. And they love watching mysteries and true crime. That's awesome. Welcome, Eleni. I'm so thrilled. I did mention earlier that we've done a few sessions and I'm so grateful for you. So, the hypnosis and that. So I thought I'd ask you on here today. And you know what, just as a disclaimer to everybody, everybody's situation is personal. So I don't want anyone to think that it's a one size fit all. Obviously, let's, connect to the professional themselves and they can ask you direct questions. What we wanted to do, and then again, this is mortgages, money, and more. What does this have to do with, finances? And Eleni, we've talked about this, everything boils down to finances. So, we talked a bit the other day, and I'm finding with our clients, there's a lot of heaviness going on in this world, right? Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know, I'm just not feeling so good. Finances are really stressing me out. And, if we take a step back, we've all gone through so much. And it's just a layering of events. We're all waiting for that next shoe to drop, wouldn't you say? And yes, right. And I would love for you to walk us through these last 3 years. And why we're feeling like this. And then we can end with some great tools, of course. Mm-hmm. But so if you could walk us through this layering of absolute incredible historical events, one after another.
Right. Yes. Well, thank you for having me, Angie. I'm really excited to be here. Well, I think everybody's experiencing, it's almost like I've heard it described like a global trauma that we've been going through, right? So we've had COVID, we've had lockdowns, we've had war in Ukraine, we've had a lot of stress, in the US, regardless of what your political bent is, it's a lot going on, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of division happening in the world, and our brains are always looking for stability, right? And security. And when we can't find it, we tend to go to, whatever issue is our thing, right? Anxiety, depression, stress. People might find old traumas coming back. I mean, I've had clients reach out to me over COVID who I hadn't seen in a long time, but all their stuff was suddenly coming back and hitting them like a ton of bricks. And they were like, I thought this was dealt with. I was fine. And it's because our brains will go back to that place, right? Because it can't quite find its footing. If that makes sense.
Is that what you would call like a trigger response? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Something triggering. Yeah.
Something triggering. Yeah. And a lot of people, we work together and they think that, their triggers are gone and everything's great. And that's amazing. But, none of us, I can't control world events. I can't control global pandemics or, other events happening in people's lives. And sometimes your stuff is going to resurface because it's that place your brain goes to during those times. Right.
And from our sessions, I remember you saying that we store these events in our bodies, mm-hmm. and they can come up in just in any kind of opportunity, right? Like this time. And also, like, I'm finding we need to cut ourselves some slack, right?
Yeah.
Like these are some pretty massive historical events that have happened one after another, not alone just one at a time over a series of years. This is like pandemic and like
Political
a
strife,
war. What was
war.
funny, if you remember the other day, we were like, oh yeah, and a war. Oh my God, a war on its own.
I know.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, I don't know. I can't sleep. I didn't sleep last night. And you ask why, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's money issues. Well, it is, because some terrible things have happened to the economy. Inflation's still at 6%, and all of this stuff is reeling in our brains. And I'm as a professional, as a mortgage broker, I know I speak for many mortgage brokers. We have such tremendous empathy, and like we feel horrible for so many of our clients who purchased over the last couple of years as well. You know, that stress of, if you were a purchaser and, oh my God, the value of my property has gone down. What do I do? I'm going to lose my money. And
Oh yeah. Yeah.
horrible. Again,
Exactly.
so this massive global event, but then how it relates to all of us on a macro level is different, I guess, right?
Well, 100%. And I think, you know, when we are having the lockdowns, which we've kind of, I think, sort of put out of our minds, right? But it wasn't that long ago. I don't know about you, but I could feel the energy in the world was weird, right? Like,
yes,
it was just off. It was weird. And, you know, people were feeling it, and, you know, some more than others, but sometimes, you know, sometimes we're not in touch with that, you know, kind of global mindset. But like you said, it translates to a macro level. So now I'm going to be up all night freaking out about my house, or freaking out about finances, or, you know, obsessed with my investments. And, you know, yes, things are going on outside of our control. And what I always say to my clients is the absolutely only thing we can control is ourselves, right?
I love that. Yes.
Our actions, our thoughts, our behaviors, right? And so I think a lot of it comes down to is, you know, yeah, crap is hitting the fan around me, but how can I manage myself so that I am not in a constant state of anxiety and stress and fear, right? Because that's not going to change the outcome, right?
No.
I tell and, you know, I tend to worry also. I'm not perfect, of course, but, you know, I always tell my clients, worry doesn't change the outcome.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think it's a matter of, you know, figuring out how we can, you know, control our own emotions so we feel better.
Right. So let's talk about that. So what are some steps that, because I know I'm going to be sending this off to my database, and, you know, something that I would love to add value to them and see if what we can help them. Obviously, each individual is different, but what are some things that we can suggest to them that they can do?
Well, I think that no one's having enough fun. That's a big part of it. And right, things are loosening up, but, you know, a lot of people are still worried, right? COVID's still there. It's not going anywhere. You know, and I think that I find myself, you know, I'm still quite cautious. And when I go out, it's always in the back of my mind while I'm having fun, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to get sick later? Is this going to have repercussions, right? It's very stressful. And some people aren't worried, stressful. And that's totally great, right? So it's just, it depends, but it can be very stressful. I also found that, you know, we were locked out in our houses for so long that then when we came out, did you not find socializing exhausting in the beginning?
I'm still finding right? It exhausting. And the whole experience, from getting dressed to putting lipstick on and makeup.
Yeah. And seeing people, you know, it takes a lot of energy. And so I think things we can do is to preserve our energy, right? So be kind to ourselves, know when we've had our fill, right? Like my son is great about it. He really feels people's energy, and he can have a big social event, and then he has to be on his own for a couple of days and just chill and get his energy back, right?
And that is okay.
Totally okay.
Yeah, I say I'm peopled out.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
peopled out. I know when I'm at an event and I hit my wall.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
often people think I'm, this social butterfly, and I actually I do enjoy it. I'm out there, but then when I hit my wall, it's now. All right, see you, bye-bye. I'm out of here. And I'm gone.
And I
But
think people have to remember that we're different now.
yeah.
It's different. We're not the
Yeah.
same. We're not the
Yeah.
same.
And we also have to recognize there's a lot of people who are nervous about going out, not only because of the whole COVID thing, but because of what has happened to our physical appearance over the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
There are many of us, me included, where maybe we've gained a little bit of weight. Maybe we're now a little bit older. Maybe we're now gray hair. Maybe we're now, like, whatever the thing is that it makes us different than we were, is causing us to have anxiety as well with going out. So
Definitely. And especially
social.
if you're in a people facing type of industry, right? I actually read an interesting statistic that, throughout the pandemic, when things went more virtual on Zoom, that plastic surgeries soared because people are looking at themselves all day.
Yes.
Right?
Makes sense.
No. I'm
Sense.
terrible for that. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on
Right?
here, right? Whereas normally you'd be in an office talking to people, you'd never be able to look at yourself. So, it's very interesting. We're different now. And I think
we are different. Yeah.
Maybe, our idea of fun is different now. But I think, we talk about self-care and it's such a buzzword, and, it can be a million different types of things for anybody. But I think is, checking in with yourself, and, we all need to have fun. We're not having enough fun. It's been winter forever. And, I think connecting on how, with people, however you're comfortable, and taking some time to do things for yourself. I frequently say to my clients, what about you? What are you doing for you?
Yeah.
And people don't even know what that means sometimes, so whether it's, I always say incorporate exercise. That's hugely important. Journaling, checking in with your mental state, your emotional state. Meditations. I always give my clients guided meditations to listen to check in, with your unconscious mind. And that can be really powerful and important, especially as you're doing the inner work. And then I also would say, if you're struggling, talk to somebody. It's right. Like, there's no shame in reaching out for therapy. However that looks to you. And so,
and that's why I admitted at the beginning to say that I have called you. We have had sessions. We are going to continue to have sessions, because I want to normalize this conversation, because it's super important. Just as, eating that healthy apple and the vegetable is, this is the apple and vegetable for our mindset. Is that
exactly.
Weird to say it that way, but right?
Yeah. And I mean, for business owners, I really feel that, personal growth is business growth. And right, like, if you're not doing that work inside your brain, your business probably can't grow at the rate you want it to grow. Right? Because you're going to be putting roadblocks in, you're going to be self-sabotaging. Like, I see that all the time with my clients who are, business owners. And you need to clean up inside, right?
It's funny because when I don't do that, then the spiraling, and I can get into whether it's, looking at TikToks and whatever happened at the banks last week declining and all of that, and I can spiral.
We didn't even mention that, the bank stuff.
the bank, right. This is how crazy the world is right now.
I
We
know.
just have like this major banking catastrophe in the US last week and
Mm.
ongoing, and it's a non-conversation until we remember about it. Like this on
There's
its
so many
own,
things.
right? It's
Yeah.
just like all this layering. And I could go down the rabbit hole as many people do, because the algorithms on these social medias are such that it'll give you more of what you are reading and doing, right? And next thing you know, 3-4 hours in, 3-4 hours later, it's like you're in this dark place.
Yeah, well, you're numbing, right?
So yeah,
Yeah, you're
got the
numbing.
AirPods in, I'm scrolling, and next thing you know, it's more of the same stuff that I'm trying to get away from. So really, I really love that. Yes, the meditation, putting away these devices for a while, the exercising, all of those are incredible tools, and putting ourselves first.
Yeah.
Right, wouldn't you say?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So many of my clients do everything for everyone else. And then when, I sort of challenge their belief a little bit about how it's selfish if they do something for them. Right?
Right.
And, we certainly can't be the parent or partner or business owner or whatever that we want to be if we're not taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And you need to be doing that inner work. I mean, it's work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Either way is work. If you're either working your brain in a spiral in a negative way, or you're working your brain in this positive way.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Both are work.
Yeah. I had a client yesterday who, he has a lot of anxiety and panic, and he was really in a, I don't want to say in a bad place, but in a, kind of feeling crappy because we were getting really close to the root problem. Right. And, as I have seen with my clients, the closer we get to that, sometimes your brain is like, nope, too painful. Nope, closing it off. Right. And he wanted to quit. Right. Quit doing the work. And I said to him, okay, but you're still going to feel crappy. Right.
Yeah.
Like we stop and you just feel crappy forever, or you feel crappy for a little bit and it's going to get better and better and better.
So push through it.
Right. It's like the only way
to
the other side is through it. Right. And sometimes the middle is messy and, doesn't feel great. But I think it's important to keep pushing through. Right. And, he is going to keep pushing through, and, we had a great conversation about it, and I was happy he was honest with me. Right. But I think a lot of us get to that point where it's just easier to scroll, right? Or whatever. And we kind of shy away.
It was numbing? It was numbing.
Numbing, yeah. I'm guilty of it too. Right?
Yeah. Because you're either in denial or just not sure that not even aware that you're numbing yourself at that moment. It's just, I just want to shut the world out for a little bit. Let me do this fun activity, which ends up not being so fun because then you're down a rabbit hole if you're like me.
Yes. And I would also say, just getting back quickly to, like tools and things to do.
Yes.
Is sleep.
Oh yeah.
And if you need a nap and you're able to take one, right? Like, don't feel guilty about resting. I think especially for entrepreneurs, who feel like we have to be working, right? And it's not valuable to rest, right? It's all about money-making activity.
Well, and you're reading people saying they're up, the 4 a.m. club, and they're doing all this crap all day long, and they're going to bed at 2 a.m. and it's almost like a badge of honor that they're overworked and stressed.
Our society rewards that kind of thinking,
Craziness.
right? It's like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, kind of
Yeah.
mentality. And sure, that can be great.
Yeah.
But, and I'm sure and I know that if you don't give yourself a break, your body will take a break for you.
Yeah.
Right?
At the most inopportune time, that's for sure.
So I sometimes have naps during the day if I can, if I'm not having clients, if my body, the other day, I was doing some schoolwork. I'm back in school doing my master's in psychology.
Mhm.
And I just thought, I have to go to sleep right now. And I went and laid down and slept for 40 minutes and had a nap.
Nice.
But I'm a good napper because some people can't nap. So I'm lucky in that way. But, my body was telling me you need a break.
Yeah.
And I know that when I had my concussion, my occupational therapist gave me great advice that I still give to people is take a brain break, right?
Take a brain break. I like it.
So when I was recovering from that, I could do so much work. And then I would have to go and sit and close my eyes for 10 minutes, right? Just to take a brain break. So if you can't nap or, you're feeling busy and stressed, just shut it off for 5 or 10 minutes, right? No screens, nothing. And that can really, really help as well.
That's awesome. I love them. You mentioned earlier the journaling too. I've kind of stepped away from that. So you reminded me about that. What are we journaling about?
One thing that I recommend with my clients is something called morning pages. And I can't remember the author, but if you Googled morning pages, she would come up. I don't want to take credit for anything that is not mine. She wrote a book about it. And one of my best friend, since we were 8 years old, told me about it. And I've done it and I recommend it to my clients. And basically all it is when you wake up in the morning, you just write for a set amount of time. So it could be 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. You set your timer. But you just write like stream of consciousness. So you could even be writing window lamp, blue, green, it doesn't matter. And her mom has dementia, and she was finding that when her mom did that in the morning, she had a better day mentally.
I like that.
And
Morning
it's,
pages.
yeah, if you're interested in it, I would recommend your audience to check out this woman's book because it will tell you in more detail than I can remember about why it's so helpful. But my clients really benefit from it because it's almost like clears your brain, for that amount of time. So it's first thing in the morning. And, maybe start with 10 minutes. Some people do it for, quite a while. And the key is that you don't stop writing. You don't think, you just don't stop writing. And then you just close it. You don't even read what you wrote. So it's an exercise in, kind of freeing up your unconscious from any, thoughts that were going on in the night or whatever. And and it just really, I find, clears out your brain for the day.
I love that. I love that. So let's kind of like wrap this up. You're talking about being kind to ourselves, having a little bit more fun, this wonderful practice in the morning where we're doing, the morning pages, we're exercise. This all sounds awesome.
No, right?
Like, if only I will do this, but I guess baby steps, right?
Of course. We don't want to put pressure on ourselves, right? That's the big thing.
Yeah. One thing I'm really big on is ending the day with a meditation as well. And I know you have some awesome meditations, and I want to make sure that people know where to find you and where to find, some more information about this, because this is really just a snapshot of what you offer. We didn't get into the NLP, we didn't get into hypnosis, we didn't get into any of that. And that's all available through you. And I would really love for them to have a look and go to your website for these things. But meditation, is there something that you can say about that? I love meditation.
I do too. And I find I need to do guided meditation.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I'm not there either. And you know what I've decided? I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay
fine.
that I'm not sitting and with my legs crossed and the whole yogi positioning.
Totally fine.
They're like back straight, whatever. I'm like, I'm lying down. My back is straight.
Yeah. And you know what I'm thinking is, all right, when is this done? All right, what's going on? What's happening? What do I have to do next? Like,
Yeah.
it's so,
Oh, is
which
that a flute? Is that a flute now? Oh, look it's a clarinet. And like, I'm okay
yes,
with guided. I'm okay with lying down.
it
And
really helps to quiet your busy mind, right? And I
that's
think
it.
that's fine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, well, so I have recorded ones that I have recorded for my clients, but I also often send people to Insight Timer, which is
Oh,
a free app,
insight.
Insight Timer.
Okay.
And it's fantastic because you can just type in the search bar what you're struggling with, and all the meditations will come up.
Okay.
It's free. There are paid programs, like there might be a mindfulness program you have to pay
Right.
for or whatever, but there's amazing meditations on there. So I thought, well, my gosh, if these people are doing such a great job, why am I going to try to reinvent the wheel?
I agree. I agree.
So yeah, so I send my clients there frequently. So that's a really great resource that's free. And yeah,
That's awesome.
about all.
So before we close off here, um, maybe just let us know where your website. I see that your name is on the screen and how to spell it correctly. I know if we Google your name, it will find you.
Yes.
We're also going to include links and whatnot when we share this
Perfect.
on our newsletter as well. But if anyone's listening and they're not on my newsletter by chance, where can they get you? Where can they contact
Yeah.
you?
So you can find me on my website. It's www.breakthroughwitheleni, ELENI.com. And I offer a free 15-minute consultation. So if anybody wants to chat more, I'm happy to do that. My website also has my podcast on there as well. So I cover different topics. Although to be honest, I haven't released an episode since I've been in school. So I haven't had the time, but there's a bunch there.
A little busy.
Yeah. And I have some videos on my YouTube channel, which is also linked on my website. So you can, find a lot of information and different types of tools and techniques as well.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much, Eleni. And on that
Thank you
note,
for
that
having me,
wraps
Angie.
up our episode with mortgages, money, and more. Obviously, this was the more part of that.
Some money.
And money.
Bit.
Yes. Money is causing the more, let's say.
Yes.
We so appreciate you. Thank you everyone who is listening to us. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us at www.thepettyjohnteam.com, or you can just reach out to Angie at pjmortgages.com, I think. Oh my goodness. Anyway, everybody have a great day, and on to our next episode in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Eleni.
Thank you.